What if Goku trained Deku? Chapter 17. Deku sat at home. Uraraka was leaning up against his arm and watching some TV together. Neither one said anything for a long time. Deku? Uraraka said. Yeah, what's up? Said Deku. I'm sorry for getting caught, said Uraraka. Uraraka began to cry a little bit. It's all my fault. If I'd just been stronger, you wouldn't have gotten hurt, and All Might wouldn't have had to retire, said Uraraka softly. She began sobbing. She pushed her face into Deku's arm. Deku put his arm around her, pulling her close. No, Chaco, it's not your fault. You can't blame yourself. Remember, All Might's power was already fading. He was going to retire anyway. I'm sure he was happy that he managed to save you with his remaining power. And don't worry about me. Recovery girls in my arm will be fine in a few days, said Deku. But if I was stronger, said Uraraka. Deku gave her a hug. I know it's hard, and I don't know if there was a better way to do it, but I know that you are alive. I thought I lost you, but it was through your strength that you survived, said Deku. Deku grabbed her hand, standing up. What are you doing? Asked Uraraka. Vegeta told me something a while ago. If you are weak, you have two choices. Do nothing and accept your weakness, or get up and do something about it, said Deku with a smile. Deku pulled Uraraka to her feet. Uraraka leaned in, kissing Deku on the cheek, then whispered in his ear. I'm going to kick your ass, said Uraraka with a smirk. She walked away, pulling Deku's hand behind her. Deku followed her, smiling. They flew down to the beach and landed on the soft, warm sand. Uraraka took off her jacket and stretched her arms. Remember, no one for all. I want to be able to walk after this, said Uraraka. Deku nodded, taking off his jacket. The two got into their stances, then shot at each other. As they collided, the shockwave blew massive amounts of sand away from the area. Uraraka hit first, smashing her fist into Deku's gut and spin kicking him in the side of the head. Deku was knocked to the ground, but quickly jumped back to his feet. He shot 2 ki blasts at Uraraka, and then shot straight at her. As Uraraka deflected the ki blast, Deku managed to sweep out her legs. As she fell, Deku grabbed her by the collar, stopping her from hitting the ground. Don't hold back against me, said Uraraka. Uraraka jumped up, wrapping her legs around Deku's arm and neck. She then flipped backwards, slamming Deku into the sand. Before Deku could respond, Uraraka got behind him, twisting his arm into his back. What's going on down there? Some sort of fight? Asked a civilian. Someone walked behind the civilian, putting their massive hand on their shoulder. Please, do not worry. They are just my students, and they're doing a little bit of training, said All Might. The civilian immediately started freaking out upon seeing the sight of the massive All Might. Deku tried to get free but couldn't. Uraraka dug his hand into his back, so if he tried to use his ki blade or his blast, it would go into him instead. Okay, you win, said Deku. Uraraka smiled, leaning forward. She kissed Deku on the neck. Deku immediately started blushing. No, Chaco. Can you move? You're pushing your chest into my back, said Deku, blushing. Uraraka shot to her feet, blushing. She dusted herself off, then helped Deku up. All Might approached, clapping. Ah, very good fight, you two. Very impressive, said All Might. All Might? How are you feeling? Asked Deku. Exhausted. Goku believes I may have something called delayed onset ki disorder, said All Might. What's that? Asked Uraraka. Apparently, it's when someone overuses their ki in a reckless way. The fact that I burnt through all mine in my last fight certainly makes me qualified, said All Might. All Might laughed, but stopped when he saw Deku and Uraraka's concerned faces. Do not worry. It only means I won't be able to use my ki for a while, and even when I'm recovered, I've used up all the remaining energy of One for All. It's back to being quirkless for me, said All Might. All Might laughed again, then put his hands on the children's shoulders. Thank you for fighting by my side, said All Might. He pulled the 2 young heroes in for a massive hug. The day continued, with All Might coaching Deku and Uraraka through a few more sparring sessions. A few weeks later, Mr. Aizawa and All Might had gone round all the students' houses and talked to their parents about settling the kids in dormitories. Some kids needed a bit more encouraging than the others, but eventually all agreed. Class 1A walked around their massive new home. I'm living in a mansion, said Uraraka. There are multiple bathrooms, and they are separated by gender, Aizawa said, staring at Mineta. And you will behave, Aizawa said. Mineta bowed his head. You will keep to your rooms, and the communal spaces clean. If I believe that it's fallen below unacceptable levels of cleanliness, there will be severe punishments, said Aizawa. Yes, sir, said Class 1A. Aizawa went to walk away, but stopped. He turned back, staring at Deku and Uraraka. He activated his quirk, grabbed his binding cloth. Anyone caught in someone else's room after curfew will wish they never came to this school, said Uraraka. Deku gulped. He looked over at Uraraka and saw her staring at the floor, blushing. Get settled in, said Aizawa. Class 1A spent the day moving all their stuff into their rooms and getting them organised. The next day, Jiro was brushing her teeth when Uraraka walked in. Her hair was a mess and she looked exhausted. Are you okay? You look tired, asked Jiro. Uraraka sleepily nodded, then began brushing her teeth. The two stood in silence for a second, then Jiro spoke up. Isn't that Midoriya's shirt you're wearing? Asked Jiro. Uraraka immediately spat out her toothpaste, looking at herself in the mirror. Jiro was right. This wasn't her shirt. It's not what you think, Uraraka said, panicking. Go change before Aizawa sees you, said Jiro calmly. Uraraka nodded, immediately sprinting out of the bathroom. Later that day, they all sat in class. Mr. Aizawa walked in, putting some papers on his desk. It is time for your provisional license exam. It will be difficult but worth it, said Aizawa. The class was nervous but accepted the challenge. A few weeks later, Class 1A got off their bus and stood before the massive arena. Deku clicked his neck as he walked up the steps, but he stopped when he saw something that confused him. Bakugo walked past him, but his face was covered in bruises and cuts. His hands were bandaged as well. Deku grabbed Bakugo's shoulder, stopping him. What the hell happened to you? Asked Deku. Bakugo turned, fury in his eyes. He grabbed Deku's hand, pushing him off him. Don't touch me, said Bakugo. Deku was confused. He had believed that he and Bakugo were on good terms again, but apparently he was wrong. That was weird, asked Uraraka. Yeah, I hope he's doing alright, said Deku. The class walked inside and got dressed. It's been a month since All Might retired. We need strong new heroes to fill that void, said the announcer. Then let's see what they got, said the judge. All the students stood in the field ready for the test. We have an advantage, said Deku. What's that? Said Uraraka. We know exactly where they are, said Deku with a smirk. Uraraka and Deku smirked, feeling the key around them. The klaxon sounded and immediately Yue went on the offensive. Deku and Uraraka coordinated with their classmates to ensure that they were not surrounded. Suddenly, the ground split open with the force of a massive earthquake. Deku floated into the air, looking around. Is this the work of a quirk? Said Deku. Deku spotted the student. Powering up, Deku shot over, smashing the hero in the jaw. They were thrown to the side as the rest of the class recoiled with the sudden attack. Careful, he's fast. They were cut off when Deku appeared in front of them, smashing them in the gut. How can you do that? Asked another student. Deku powered up even further. Before anyone could tell what happened, 5 students fell to the ground unconscious. The hero, with the earthquake quirk, got up, ready to fight. When he saw Deku bodying his classmates, he decided to retreat or smarter. He used his quirk to put up a massive wall between the groups. Looks like I've got a little bit stronger, said Deku. As Deku said that, he saw something that made him feel sick. Uraraka stood on top of a tall pillar of rock, but when the wall was put up, she immediately began to fall. Deku screamed, powering up to maximum. The people watching from the side only saw a green blur go across the stadium. Deku landed on the other side of the arena, holding Uraraka in his arms. Thank you for saving me, Deku, said Uraraka. Deku's thought cleared, and he calmed down. Instantly, Deku raised his hand, charging a ki blast in Uraraka's face. Who are you? Asked Deku. What are you talking about, Deku? You're scaring me, said Uraraka. The ki blast in Deku's hand grew. You are not Ochako Uraraka. Who are you? Said Deku. Uraraka rolled her eyes, and her face began to melt. Beneath the slime was the face of Kami. A transformation quirk? asked Deku. And how did you know I wasn't her? Asked Cammy. As she said that, the rest of her very naked body was revealed. Deku turned his back, walking away. I know her life energy signature. Yours didn't match, said Deku. Cammy tried to scan her ball on Deku's sensor, but Deku sensed this. With a quick spin, he kicked her away. Don't use her face ever again, said Deku. Deku took off back to the pile of unconscious students he made earlier. Quickly, he scanned their sensors and passed the exam. Deku sat in the waiting room, spinning a small key blast under his finger. When the rest of his class walked in, he smiled and congratulated them on passing the test. But somewhere in the back of his mind, Deku was running over an issue. That girl. When she was looking like Uraraka, I could feel her life energy, but I could also feel a slither of Uraraka's. But when she transformed again, I could feel a second energy. It was different from Uraraka, but does that mean that wasn't her true form? Asked Deku. A few minutes passed, and then it was time for the second part of the exam. There'd been a large-scale terrorist attack, leaving the city in ruins. Dozens of civilians are injured. Save them, said the announcer. The students immediately jumped into action. Deku, Uraraka, use your senses to find them, said Ida. Deku and Uraraka nodded, closing their eyes. The announcement wasn't exaggerating. All across the stadium there were dozens of people. There are 3 in that building over there, also 2 under that rock and another in that hole, said Deku. Uraraka flew over to another group. It wouldn't help to have 2 of them focusing their attention on one spot. Good, keep those locations coming, said Ida. Deku nodded, feeling their key. Deku's eyes shot open. He immediately powered up to maximum and shot forward. He smashed through a rock that was in his way and landed inside a building. With one motion, he turned a rock that was falling towards a civilian to dust. Hey, you okay? Asked Deku. Deku picked up the civilian and flew them over to the first aid station. He handed them off to the heroes there, then took off again. As he was flying through the air, Deku heard an explosion go off behind him. He turned and saw Gang Orca walking through the smoke. The villains have returned. Prevent them from creating more damage, said the announcer. As soon as Deku heard this, he began powering up. He had studied Gang Orca for years, as he was one of the top heroes, and he knew how strong he was. It's time for the real test to begin. Gang Orca was cut off by Deku rocketing his fist into the hero's jaw like a hypersonic missile. The massive hero was thrown to the side as minions fired at Deku. Using his incredible speed, Deku managed to dodge the attacks and knock out most of the enemies in only a few moments. Deku stood in the middle of the battleground surrounded with bodies. What happened? I blinked and everyone is down, asked a judge. That kid happened, said the announcer. All the judges stared at Deku in shock. That's an impressive punch, young man, said Gang Orca. The massive hero shot out of the dust, smashing into Deku. His massive fist smashed across the young boy's face, drawing blood, but Deku didn't fall. Deku responded by smashing his fist across the hero's face again. Neither mighty hero fell as they hit each other over and over again. We are even? Asked Deku. Deku jumped backwards, forming his Keyblade. I'm sorry about this, said Deku. Using his incredible speed, Deku tore towards the massive hero. Gang Orca tried to guard, but Deku was too fast. He slipped behind the hero and sliced up the back of his ankles. Gang Orca fell to his knees, wincing in pain. Deku walked in front of the hero, holding a key blast in his face. It's time to surrender, sir, said Deku. Gang Orca smirked, grabbing Deku. Quickly, Deku flipped backwards, kicking Gang Orca in the jaw. As he flipped, Deku cupped his hands. When he could see the massive villain, he fired. Kamehameha! Yelled Deku. The massive green beam smashed into the hero, sending him hurtling out of the arena through the hole he entered through. Did he just beat Gang Orca? Asked the judge. Yes, he did, said the announcer. Some random first year just defeated the number 10 hero? Asked the judge. I'm just as scared as you, said the announcer. The exam was ended and all of Class 1A except Todoroki and Bakugo passed. Deku walked out the changing rooms to the applause of the class. What's this for? Asked Deku. Dude, you soloed all the villains and Gang Orca. I forgot you were such a badass, said Kirishima. Kirishima, language, said Ida. Uraraka walked up to Deku, grabbing him by the collar and kissing him. It was so hot, said Uraraka. Deku immediately went bright red and began screaming internally. Uraraka had shown affection in public, but never on this level. Uraraka, control yourself, said Ida. Uraraka let go of Deku, smirking. Deku closed his eyes, double-checking that was Uraraka. It definitely was, which made him blush even more. Mineta and Kaminari stared at Deku, their jaws dragging along the ground. You're that lucky guy. Amazing quirk and dating Uraraka, said Kaminari. The class got back on the bus, going back to their dorms. Good work today, everybody. Todoroki, Bakugo, make sure you work hard and don't fall behind. Yes, of course, said Todoroki. Bakugo scoffed, walking over to Deku. Deku was currently sat on the sofa chatting with Uraraka. Come with me, said Bakugo. Deku turned, looking at Bakugo. What's up, said Deku. Come with me now, said Bakugo. Deku put down his drink and stood up. Okay, said Deku. Don't be too long, said Uraraka. Uraraka looked at Deku with a smile, making Deku gulped. Ah, so cute, thought Deku. Deku walked off, following Bakugo. They just kept walking on and on, until they came to Site Gamma. Kachan, we aren't allowed here at night. What's wrong? Said Deku. You lied to me, said Bakugo. What are you talking about? Said Deku. Your quirk. You lied to me when you said it awakened during the sludge villain attack. You got it from All Might, said Bakugo. Please, try and calm down. You don't know what you're talking about, said Deku. Really? I saw how you fight with blasts. I thought it was your quirk for a long time, but then Uraraka started using them, and then All Might. You lied. Your quirk is something else. Something that makes you stronger, but you wouldn't want to tell other people about it. All Might gave you his power, didn't he? Said Bakugo. Deku was silent, staring at the ground. Bakugo ran over, grabbing Deku by the collar. Answer me! Yelled Bakugo. Deku was still silent. Bakugo let go, taking a step back. Fine, if you won't tell me, I'll beat it out of you, said Bakugo. Bakugo shot forward, blasting Deku in the face. Deku was thrown down the street and skidded violently along the pavement. Why did it have to be you? Said Bakugo. Bakugo shot after Deku, hitting him again. What's with him? He's much stronger than ever before, thought Deku. Deku powered up and dodged Bakugo's next attack. The blast smashed into the ground, splintering the pavement. No way. That's Ki, said Deku. Deku got distracted and caught a foot to the chin, sending him hurtling into a building. Why did he choose you? A small fry who'd never shown strength, yelled Bakugo. Bakugo blasted towards Deku. Deku used a blast to flip over Bakugo's head and land behind him. Stop running! Fight me! Yelled Bakugo. I don't want to fight you, Kachan, said Deku. Bakugo blasted towards Deku. He could see him break the sound barrier with his immense speed. We both looked up to him, yelled Bakugo. Bakugo blasted Deku in the gut and rocketed after him. Then why? Yelled Bakugo. Bakugo smashed his fist into Deku's face. Why? Yelled Bakugo again. Deku jumped to his feet, catching Bakugo's next punch, but Bakugo instantly brought his leg up, kicking Deku in the chin. Tell me why, said Bakugo. As Deku fell back, he fired a blast, catching Bakugo in the chest. Both young heroes were thrown down the street, and Bakugo slid across the concrete. Oh, I'm sorry, are you okay? Said Deku. Deku ran over, offering his hand to Bakugo, however Bakugo slapped it away. Why did it have to be you? You, a worthless small fry who was always behind me. Why did you have to go get strong? Become his favourite? Why did you get strong, and why? Why was I the one who ended All Might? Said Bakugo. Deku's heart sank. He finally understood what this was all about. If I had just been stronger, I wouldn't have been captured by villains. It wouldn't have happened. All Might knows it was my fault and hasn't said anything. I can't say this to anyone. If I try and hold it inside, it repeats in my mind on a loop. It's my fault, and I don't know what to do, said Bakugo, crying. Bakugo fell to his knees, smashing his fist into the ground. Deku gritted his teeth, powering up. "Get up," said Deku. Bakugo looked up, seeing Deku covered in a dark green aura. "You're finally gonna fight me?" asked Bakugo. "I'm not nice enough to be your punching bag. Now get up," said Deku. Bakugo got up, taking a deep breath. With a yell, a thick orange aura appeared around him. "When did you learn to use ki?" asked Deku. "I've been training with Vegeta ever since Kamino," said Bakugo. Bakugo and Deku shot at each other. As they collided, they sent out massive shockwaves, splintering and cracking the pavement around them. Deku hit first, landed a massive punch on Bakugo's face. The blonde heroes pelted down the street as Deku tore after him. He flew alongside him and grabbed him by the chest, slamming into the pavement as they tore down the street. The force melted and splintered the street. Thinking quickly, Bakugo kicked Deku into the chest, sending him into the air. Before Deku could correct his position with flight, Bakugo rocketed up, kneeing Deku in the face. "He's got flight as well as his blast. I think he's faster than me," said Deku. Deku's eyes glowed as he powered up even further. The two boys smashed into each other again, both of them easily tearing through the sound barrier. "Faster!" yelled Bakugo. Bakugo's hands and eyes glowed as he fired out more and more energy. He used his ki to increase his quirk's strength, making him even more powerful. As Bakugo tore through the sky towards Deku, it almost appeared as if Bakugo was disappearing. "He's going too fast. I can't track his moves," said Deku. Deku took a deep breath, feeling the ki around him. "There," said Deku. Deku spun mid-air, bringing his foot into Bakugo's chest. The explosive hero coughed in pain, then blasted Deku point blank. Deku was thrown down towards the ground, but stopped before impact. "I need more speed," said Deku. Deku yelled, powering up. 30%, said Deku. Deku tore forward. The green sparks that usually covered his body were now emerald tendrils flowing off his body. Deku tore across the sky before clashing with Bakugo. "I've got the speed advantage, but he's got strength. At this level, one punch and I'm in danger," said Bakugo. Bakugo blasted to the side, narrowly dodging his punch, then blasted Deku in the gut. Before Deku could bring in his other fist into Bakugo's face, he was blasted away. Deku tore after him. To someone on the ground who wasn't trained to sense ki, they would just see the occasional flickering forms of Deku and Bakugo clashing and massive explosions. Deku winced, grabbing his chest. "I've used my full power for too long. It's time to end this," said Deku. Deku fired out several ki blasts towards Bakugo. "You missed. Where are you aiming?" said Bakugo. Bakugo stopped, looking around him. "Oh shit," said Bakugo. Deku flicked his arms together and all the ki blasts shot towards Bakugo. He was quick and managed to dodge a few, but eventually they started to hit. "Ah!" Bakugo yelled out, letting out a massive explosion. Like he had done with Uraraka's rocks at the sports festival, he blew away all the blast, but that was Deku's plan. Before the smoke cleared, Deku appeared right in front of Bakugo's face. Bakugo looked up, seeing Deku sparking with energy, but he didn't have time to react. Using all his strength, Deku smashed his fist into Bakugo's face. Like a meteor, Bakugo tore down towards the ground. Bakugo shook his head, trying to stop it from spinning, and began to slow his fall. He stood there, floating mid-air, panting. "Where is he?" said Bakugo. Bakugo felt a chill go up his back, and was clobbered with a double hammer fist from behind. Bakugo's body smashed into the roof of a building, smashed through the roof of a building, landing in the bottom floor. Bakugo laid on a random desk, bleeding from the head. "Ow," said Bakugo. Bakugo's vision was beginning to fade when he saw Deku land next to him. "Come on, this is over. Let's get you to recovery, girl," said Deku. Bakugo looked up, seeing Deku wince in pain. "He's reached his limit," said Bakugo. Bakugo flipped over, firing a full power blast into Deku's gut. Deku was thrown violently through the wall and across the street into another building. Deku groaned in pain as he shook his head to stop the dizziness. He could only just see Bakugo staggering out of the building. With his remaining strength, the two boys shot each other. The buildings behind them blew apart by the force. They clashed in the middle of the street. "Die!" yelled Bakugo. "Smash!" yelled Deku. Deku's fist smashed into Bakugo's face, sending him straight into the ground. However, as Deku's punch hit, Bakugo let off the most powerful blast of his life, sending it straight into Deku's gut. Deku shot backwards, smashing into the top of a building and getting embedded in the side. Deku looked down, seeing Bakugo slumped on the ground in a pile of rubble. Deku smiled, then passed out. A few moments later, Deku woke up on the ground next to Bakugo. In front of him stood All Might. "Are you okay, young man?" said All Might. "Yeah, I'm okay," said Deku. At that moment, Bakugo woke up, seeing All Might standing over him. I'm sorry, young Bakugo, but I overheard what you said," said All Might. It doesn't matter. Why did you choose Deku? It started with the sludge villain came, right? Why him?" asked Bakugo. "He had no power, but a heroic heart. I knew you were already strong, and I felt that he deserved a chance in the ring," said All Might. "But I'm not strong. I wanted to be just like you, but I can't. It's because I was weak that you lost your power," said Bakugo. "That isn't true. My limit was already close, and I was always going to end this way," said All Might. All Might bent down so he could face Bakugo. "You are strong, but I focused too much on that. I'm sorry for making you shoulder such a heavy burden," said All Might. The three heroes talked, and All Might explained all for one, and one for all. He also explained where Goku and Vegeta had come from, and the rules that they had to follow. "Hey Deku, next time won't be so easy. I'll climb even higher than you." This wasn't easy," said Bakugo. "This wasn't easy. It was one of my toughest fights ever. And if you think you can overtake me, then I'll just have to climb even higher than you," said Deku with a smirk. All Might smirked that the next generation... oh my god, why can't I speak? All Might smirked, happy that the next generation will have strong heroes to look up to. End of chapter 17. Oh, that was fun.